which amounts to $155 a month.
A month, right?
Is he going to spend that?
No. Before you even go there, I would like you to, just make a little list of the allowances so that people can really get a picture as to why they will not have to spend.
I don't even want to talk about the allowances.
Let me find it.
I don't want to talk about that because
I want people to really realize the reason why we're talking about this, because they need to see why the upper bracket will not spend.
They have enough. They're not living, and I am pretty confident of it. They're not living from paycheck to paycheck. They have more than enough. So instead of you giving more, and listen, why not change the entire tax structure? Why didn't you reduce the 20% in the middle?
Point.
And go to the bottom and take off a little something. So make it 8%. Make the 20, make the 30, 25. And make the 20, 15.
Exactly.
You want people to get more because they are being taxed more? Give them more. They are the ones who are going to spend. They are the ones who are living from paycheck to paycheck. They are the ones who are having the difficulty making ends meet, especially with this high fuel surcharge. And we even get to the VAT on that yet. They are the ones. But yet, and what struck me, is that who sits down in budget meeting and decides this? They're all the top earners.
Exactly.
Not the poor man sitting down there. The top earners. So when they're making these decisions, I'm pretty sure that they're saying, let's see how we could get a little bit more. And that is what has happened. If the government is really serious about stimulating the economy, they will give more to the poor.
Okay, so the leader of the opposition, as you said, right, 2016 to 2017 salary is $903,046. Right? Now, I'm going to give you a little breakdown of all the allowances, and you will see why, these people, they're not going to spend when they collect. When the taxes does not, when they earn more, whatever more they earn, they have no need to spend it. So it's not going to go back into the economy. Now, since Mr. Boucher spoke of the opposition leader, you have an entertainment allowance, right, of $8,460 per year, right? You have an allowance, Lord. You have entertainment allowance. You have wow. You have housing allowance, and these people in the higher tax brackets, right? Technically, they don't have to pay. They don't have to touch their salaries, Javel. They don't have to touch their salaries because technically, everything is paid for by the taxpayer. So they don't have to touch their salaries. The Prime Minister, leader of the opposition, ministers, parliamentary secretary, speaker, elected member, senator, all these people don't have to touch their salaries. Their allowances alone is enough to take them through the year. A matter of fact, their allowances can pay workers, But yet, these are the people who are still putting pressure. And you never hear them say, I'm going to take a tax cut or I'm going to give up one of my allowance. Never. But yet, they're putting pressure on the smaller man who is the one who has to keep stimulating the economy. Not them.
And that's the problem, Kenson. You have ministers who are able to have some $2,600 extra dollars in their pockets. Yeah, amounted to some $218 a month. You have the Prime Minister who gets some $3,000 plus extra dollars in his pocket yearly.
Yeah.
Amounting to $286. They're not going to be spending that money to stimulate any economy.
They're not.
Yeah. Let me just give you the. You have the person who is in grade K.
Right.
They are only getting $16 a month. Now they're the ones who need the money.
Right.
But that's less than $20. Yeah. Then you have a whole list of workers, over 400 plus of them, who gets nothing. Those who are they are the low income. How could you give a tax break and focus on the top earners? How could you do that and talk about you stimulating the economy?
Cannot work. Cannot work.
Find a way to give the tax break to the low income, where the low income and the middle income benefit the most. The low income the most.
But you know what touched my heart, Boucher, was when I saw, things that we technically cannot live without. Light, for example, electricity, being touched. You already have a surcharge like a millstone around your neck.
Especially for December, January, that was really...
And then...
almost...
And I have seen times where your fuel surcharge is 100% plus of your energy charge. Now, after that surcharge, you're still telling me you're going to add VAT to the energy charge again? So you're paying triple.
That's the problem.
Because you're already paying for what you used, which is what you're supposed to be paying for. Then you're telling me I am paying a surcharge, so technically Vinlec is not standing any cost for the ingredients going into their product. I have to pay that. So Vinlec is already working on a profit, then collecting a profit, and now again you're gonna add VAT for another profit.
Yep. And that is coming from a government who loves the poor.
Love to see people poor.
I remember, as you touch on the energy issue, I remember when the VAT was first set on 200 kilowatts.
I was going to get to that.
I heard the Prime Minister said, the poor do not use beyond 200 kilowatts. So you're shielding the poor. Now you have lowered it to 250. So all of those persons below 200 who really are, quote unquote, the poor, you have decided to put VAT on the poor. It is difficult to stay below 150.
Exactly.
When you have a fridge in your house, and these are simple, basic things, Fridges draw a lot of current. You iron.
Right.
Because those are elements.
Right.
Things that you must have a fridge in your house. And even the poor will have a fridge in their house.
And most of our light.
You have to iron. You need your light.
Yeah.
Well, the elderly, who are the poor, can't even use a shower heater because they can't afford it, so they bathe in cold water.
Because, the shower heater pulls some good current.
And they pull some good current.
So. So
what are you really telling us as workers in this country? What are you really telling us, Mr. Minister? And that's the point. I have this, sometimes I think that these people take us for fools. I firmly believe that. I don't even want to, I just listen to these things and I say, but wait, are they talking to us who's supposed to know different?
You have Mr. Most Important, You have Mr. Most Important.
Gentlemen, we have a call there. Let's take our first caller for this evening. Good evening. Welcome to PSC Speaks. Good night. We're great. If you could just speak up a little bit, we'll appreciate it. Yes. Yes, yes,
Yes, we are.
absolutely.
Amen, brother.
Yeah,
All
thank you
right,
very
caller.
Thank you,
much,
caller.
caller. Thank you.
I
Wonderful
want to
contribution.
expand on what the caller said just a while ago. That same Bible story he's talking about. When the son had decided to pressure the people. I say pressure. You know what he said? He said, my father, what he did was like the thickness of his waist. But what I'm going to put on you, my little finger, yeah, his little finger will be thicker than his father's waist. Just think about that. So think of the kind of pressure you're talking about. But the other thing is that you are having taxes technically being spilled all over you. But for years, we have had a wage freeze. So if you have had a wage freeze for years, but you keep taxing the people, a matter of fact, I go back again to the IMF report that has been touted all over, and people just, oh, the IMF report said that you're going to have a 2% growth. But the IMF report also said the policy that the government has adopted has proven to not be working. So if this St. Vincent, I think Boucher is the only country right now in the Caribbean that is almost solely dependent on taxes. And if the people, it's like just going in a merry-go-round. You take it here, you give it there, you go back, you take it there, and the process continues. So there will never ever be growth. Why? Because you keep on taking from the same thing that's there. It's like you're digging a hole, filling that one, then digging that one to fill back that one. There's always going to be a hole. So unless something else is put in place for the economy to grow, your salary is not going to grow, the economy itself is not going to grow. The poor is not going to be able to afford. Pretty soon we might have to beg.
Well, people are already begging, Kenson. A lady walked up to me just this week, and she was talking about the electricity. And I don't think she's right at the bottom of the salary scale or the brackets, or the income bracket. And she was saying she was trying her utmost best for years to stay below 200 kilowatts. She said she was trying. She said, you don't know, Mr. Boucher, I was trying. And I was just making it, keep it below there. Now, what am I going to do? I'm thinking about people, what am I going to do? You understand? So people have felt the pinch. And they have felt it severely. 2017, I'll tell you something that has compounded this thing.
Mm-hmm.
This cost of living adjustment. Looking at 2017. Right, Kens, I'll
right. So at the end of the day, right? And you know what's hurting me even more about this Boucher is that you are still thinking of taking an added 5% from the worker to go towards their pension. Right? But that's not the only kicker. After doing that, you're technically going to be giving them less.
Well, of course.
So you're taking more with the intention of giving less. But you're not hearing none of the politicians saying, or parliamentarians saying, let us cut down on the gratuity that I will get when I leave office.
I reduce some of the allowances.
Let us reduce some of the allowances. Let us reduce my pension. Because the amount that I already got while I was in office, my pension, I could live without a pension. Those are the people we should be telling, go to your savings. Because you got enough to could have saved.
Or take a pay cut. I think one of those PMs had...
Barbados did that one time.
There. Take a pay cut.
Barbados did that one time.
Let me just mention this, Kens. The accumulative inflation rate for 2017 was 3.0%.
Right.
What it means is that 3.0%, it means that you have to plug out at least 3.0% more in order for you to
be comfortable. Yeah.
That means cost of living has gone up by that much.
Yep.
That's for 2017. We ain't getting no salary increase. We right, the government ain't got no response either. Got nothing. But in 2017, it became more difficult for you to make ends meet because the goods and services, the cost of goods and services increased by some 3%.
Yep.
Where was the extra money going to come from to meet that demand? So that's why people had to be cutting back and cutting back and cutting back because the cost of living went up. So cost of living went up, and you're going to give a tax break to stimulate the economy. Won't you think very carefully about how best to give to the poor set of people or the lower income ones? But no, the focus is on the top. I don't even think the top should have been touched.
Exactly.
Because you already lowered the tax rate to 20,000.
20, right.
So you'll benefit from that in a very small way. But I don't think that should have been touched. Go from the middle downwards. Try and give the break mainly to those at the very bottom so that they can have a bit more spending power to offset some of the hardships and the difficulties. But you didn't do that. You brag about 32.5 down to 30% on the top. And you're a part of the top, of course. So I just don't understand that reasoning in stimulating the economy. I don't understand it.
The reasoning is simple, Boucher. Give the people what they want to hear.
It sounds good.
You down from 32% to 30%. Oh, I did something good for you. I took off 2%. So now you can meet the inflation, which was some time ago was 1.5.
Well, it's so 3.0.
Right. So what they did was actually sometimes they tell you 1.5 because even the IMF report spoke of a 1.5% inflation. So by tricking people with the IMF report, you make it sound as if you're allowing them to get that 2%, so they have a 0.5% over in spending power, which is a lie.
But that's the same that we say.
It is a lie.
So it's just sad, and I think that the government should have been a bit more responsible. The Minister of Finance should have been a bit more responsible. If you really want to stimulate the economy, I don't know what kind of economics that is, because I'm not an economist, but common sense will tell me, little basic mathematics will tell me that is not how you stimulate the economy, by giving more to the high income and less to those at the bottom. Persons in grade G, they get $46 a month. Grade I get $50 a month.
What is that really doing for you, Boucher?
But as you see what I'm saying, and those who are below all of those grades, and we're talking about grade, are we talking about people like radio communication officer, senior field officer? I mean, the tax officer 3, the public servants know which grade they are in. And you know that what you're getting is negligible because the bulk of it goes to those at the top.
Exactly.
So lower the threshold in the middle and below. Lower that. Lower those brackets so that people can get a bit more take home and therefore they can spend more. Don't bring VAT on the consumption of electricity at that level.
Necessities. I remember
because
one time.
What I think that they really should have done, if you want to help people, so VAT on 150 kilowatts, put VAT on 300, 250.
No, you want to help
give people a break.
You want to help people stimulate the local economy by one. You have farmers here. Why don't you put tax on those things that are being imported, and therefore now let the government regulate prices for, let's say, farm produce, the food here, so you'll have food security. The farmers produce the food. You steer the consumer towards the local produce by making those that are coming in harder to buy, and make them those that are produced here, let the people see that, hey, this is better. This will stimulate the economy, because then the money will be able to travel in Barbados. I know for a fact that in Barbados have part of the agricultural land that we have. But then Barbados can still produce for its own though. Barbados can produce for its own. Right? So if you promote the local businesses, the local food, we can produce chickens here. Everybody do it sometimes in their backyard. So you want to tell me we cannot do it commercially? Big enough to feed St. Vincent without having to bring in from outside? Why aren't you putting the power in the hand of the small man so that he can help? And then when you tax, then they'll have enough to give to the economy, although they're already spending as a consumer.
The thing, Kent, that I don't understand with...
You see the amount of small businesses closing? You have a private sector here who, for me, is afraid to stand up and voice their opinion.
Because many of them, Kenson, they are fearful because of the very politics. And that is the problem. We are poisoned with this political divide, partisan politics. They don't think of Vincentians outside of the politics. You understand? And any time you have partisan politics being introduced in anything, it's disastrous.
Do you listen to Lucky Dube? Lucky Dube said, how can we allow 5 years of togetherness, all that time together, to be destroyed by just a moment of politics?
But that's what is happening.
All this togetherness that we can fight for. Can't we see the bigger picture that, hey, politicians and our government is there for just a blink of time because we have the power to change it?
That's how people need to think.
And if we show them...
That's how we need to think.
Exactly. If we remember that we have the power to change them and we show them that, hey, we will change you when you mess up, they will come straight. And if the private sector has a lot of power, because if you don't have a private sector, you don't have a thriving economy. But yet, the private sector sit down and allow all these measures to just take place without voicing a word.
No concern. As you on that issue, I have to quote the last time we mentioned the Reason by Investment program.
Right.
And I remember that when we met at the budget consultation, I asked about that. And this is the thing that I really don't understand. You have not had proper growth in the economy over 10 years.
Right.
You therefore have to tax the people more and more in order to deal with the operations of the country, to finance your budget. But there is this program that is used by every country in the OECS except St. Vincent. SINKITS seems to be the forerunner. Yeah. And SINKITS was just voted least corrupt country in the...
But not just that alone, they were voted second when it comes to I think debt and all of that.
Right, their debt have been reduced significantly.
Almost gone.
So, and we have said, if, I don't understand why, but if this program will ease the taxation on workers and the citizens of the country, and it's being run in a very responsible way in territories, which means it can be done in a very responsible way.
It is.
Why is it that there is such a great reluctance in implementing it? And I want to quote what the former opposition leader, Adam Eustace, said. Because any idea that helps our economy must be considered seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Said in 2014, SINKITS and Nevis raised $767 million in revenue from the program. Imagine that taking care of your budget.
Alone.
That's more than 3/4 of your budget.
You even talk taxes
they don't have to tax you now.
Exactly, you even talk taxes yet.
In fact, there's no VAT on electricity because you don't need to do that.
Exactly.
Because you have enough revenue to finance at least 2/3 of your budget.
Right.
Yeah? So they meaning SINKITS, use that to help finance projects. And he made the point, our capital budget to do our projects for 2018 is $216 million. And here SINKITS is earning $767 million. So the earnings from that program would more than double times
Yeah.
our capital budget. You understand? So he said instead of revenue earning program like the CBI, the current government has imposed $8 tax on rooms for hotel and guest rooms for stay-over visitors. And this clearly can't finance the budget because you have to have lots of stay-over visitors in order for
Exactly.
that to really make an impact. Right?
Exactly.
So he was simply showing that the CBI program used in these territories is alleviating the pressure on the poor by creating enough revenue for government to finance its operations, which would make it unnecessary for government to put further taxation on the middle income and the poor. Because the middle income is literally almost gone.
But just look at what St. Kitts did just for Christmas.
But yet, the double salary.
Yeah.
Now they're having health insurance.
Yeah, national health insurance.
National health
yeah.
insurance. So when we watch our neighbors developing like that, and we, for 10 years or more without growth,
And we like to tout healthcare.
you understand? So something has to be not happening right in this country. And workers are the ones who are feeling the pinch. Because whenever you have to finance your operations, it is done by taxes.
Exactly.
So you either tax workers, their income, or you tax the businesses by their profits.
But I have a question, Boucher. Do you think all of this is happening because, we lack social dialogue in St. Vincent? Where it's just a top-down something, so whatever the top says, we just accept it and go?
Well, it is that now. But I'll say this, to the credit of the Honorable Prime Minister, when he just got into office, there was dialogue. Initially, there was a tripartite committee
Right.
on the economy. So you had that conversation.
So where did that go?
Because people get comfortable and they figure that they are now the masters. They no longer need consultation. If you're the master, you need consultation for.
So I just give a new take and that's
Yeah.
that.
That's what happened. They have moved away from those good practices, in my mind, because those are good practices. You hear from unions, you hear from the businesses about what you think should be happening within the economy, or ways to grow the economy, or different ideas.
And
They
for
don't
me,
do
the
that
private
anymore.
sector would have a great input when it
They don't
comes
do
to
that
such
anymore.
things.
That went to a very long time ago, and that's what happened. That's why I believe in a 2-term limit for any
True.
for any
People get
2-term
comfortable.
limit, because you get so comfortable
Get comfortable.
that you forget that you are the servants of the people and not the masters. Yeah, that is as it is, Kenton. All of us have to ban our belly and hope and pray to God that there's some relief somewhere.
Where is it gonna
we
come
can-
from?
Well, we gotta
Boucher?
pray. That's I
The rain,
believe.
when the rain come, it alleviates the pressure.
I believe in prayer, so we gotta just pray and hope that our prayers are heard.
But where do we
That we get
really
some kind of relief somewhere.
stand when it comes to this pension issue?
Well, as you mentioned, the pension issue, the options are there, and what the union is embarking on, we are going to have some consultation, information sharing with public servants.
Right.
It is important that we get their views, and we don't impose our own views on them. So we are approaching the different departments and ministries to have a sit down with public servants. Whether that take half an hour to an hour, we hope that they will agree for the union to come in and have these discussions, because it's important for us to really know what they're thinking, what they're willing to accept, and what they're not. We have written to the Honorable Minister of Finance asking for some more information to expand on all of the options, because I'm sure that they have a report which was done by an actuary. They do have a report. So they have given us these one-line items in point form and say this is it.
And
But I'm
that
sure
they
that
can't even expand on. You don't even know,
Yes.
because they just left open, and open to adjustment.
so they don't just lay all on the table.
Exactly.
Because the union I don't envision that. I mean, we're not opposed to pension reform. I mean, it's a necessity. We're not opposed to it. And we could empathize and understand where the government is really coming from, because pension reform really should have been done a long time ago. Maybe we wouldn't have been in this position.
But how long has it taken Jamaica to deal with their pension reform?
About 3 or 4 years. And in fact, they just
want to push it through in just a couple of weeks.
No, they can't push through it. No, Kenson, come on. Because pension reform doesn't. We are saying you're not just going to talk about the adjustment with respect to people's pensions. You have to look at the Pension Act itself.
Exactly.
And amend it. You have to do that. Because, listen, you have to put in provision that I'm of the view that if you want to leave after 20 years, you should be able to leave with a deferred pension.
Exactly.
Make it easier.
Not being held hostage.
You understand? So you can't just look at that. You have to look at the entire pension package, look at the act itself, see how we could amend the act to make it a bit more modern, because it is really not. Like I say, Montserrat did theirs, and they have a lot of provisions in it that public officers in that country like. So we have to look at that whole ambit of things, but not just the issue of reducing or clearly the attempt is to cut government costs.
Yeah.
So clearly you're looking at some sort of reduction.
All government, for me, the only thing you keep hearing sustainability. And, you just want to sustain, but people must suffer in the present for you to sustain further. But I think if you give people now, they will be able to spend. And when you spend, the economy grows. People get more money. They pay more towards the NIS and the pension. And therefore, the sustainability will automatically come. When was the last time you had NIS had a meeting with us, the shareholders?
Well, you have hit another topic there. Who are the biggest contributors to NIS?
Exactly.
The public workers, because they think come out firstly, right? Do we have representation there?
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
You understand? Do they tell us? We don't even know what investment they make. We just listen and hear 25 million here, that is probably a bad investment, that. We're not in tune with what is happening. And the act itself, while it allows for labor representation, the Prime Minister has to say.
Yeah.
And the people who are sitting there representing labor aren't in labor. They're not representing workers. I don't know who they represent. Their own personal self.
Who are they?
You understand?
I have never seen a report come nowhere to the union.
They don't report to the union. So all of those, we have some pretty serious issues, Javed, and I don't know. I'm really concerned about the inflation rate and the fact that those at the very bottom, the low-income workers, are not really being touched. And I'm really concerned about that, because I know that it is very painful. Even if the middle class feel that pain, you could imagine those who are lower down. You understand? And, a good standard of living, staying above poverty, that's important. And I don't think that the government give much thought in looking at this tax reduction issue.
But really, how possible is it really,
itself?
Boucher? Because at the end of the day, I remember last year and year before, necessary things that the poor needed, food and so forth, that no VAT was on, VAT was automatically put on to them. But that's the point, so they are being touched there. And now even the mere necessities again, energy. You taxing them on energy again.
So kids,
you keep hitting them with taxes and hitting them with taxes in all corners of their lives.
But they the people, Ken's, and that's the thing we have to educate. Workers in this country, Vincentian, have to understand, if there is zero or very little growth in your economy, you're going to be paying more for taxes every single year.
Exactly.
That's where the money has to come from. If there's no growth, what are you going to do?
So less for you to take home, and then
you have less, but you still have to pay more.
Pay more, and then they want to get you to pay even more for your pension, and then give you less. So, and then they're going to tell you, oh, you have to have savings. What am I saving from?
And you living from Ampechek to Ampechek.
Huh? What am I saving from?
People are really in pain in this country, financial pain. You know?
Pain is joke.
They are in pain. And so,
I think pain is putting it mildly.
The people who are doing well are probably those on the gravy train, I mean, I suppose. But the others catching hell. Some doing well and some catching hell. Anyway,
I tell you.
Not Monday. Tomorrow.
But you know, Boucher, before we wrap up, you know, recently something very interesting happened to me. I was very fascinated, really, when it happened. You know, I know, and I want to believe that we live in a democratic country, a country where you have the right to voice your opinion, according to the Constitution, the right of conscience, and so forth and so on. And there should really be technically no backlash, especially when you speak facts. You know, it is fascinating to me that sometimes we are in positions of work, you know, sometimes managerial positions and so forth, but we cannot separate our professionalism from our petty, kind of vindictive side.
Kenson, don't talk wrong.
No, I'm just saying. I'm
lots
just
of victimization go on simply because
you talk out.
So Kenson, like in your case,
yeah,
I was asking you the other day, you didn't feel anything yet?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Oh yes, I did.
My gosh,
I did. Just recently, my name was put on a list to go to America for some training. Actually, when I saw my name on the list, I spoke to the person responsible for training, and I said, how did you really manage that, you know, jokingly, you know. And, you know, we had a conversation and then we left it at that. But one of the things I remember saying was it would be interesting to see how this will be handled after it leaves prison, because I was one who was, you know, picked by the management of prison to go for training. From the list, left prison and went to the Ministry of Security.
Mr. Pompey.
Mr. Pompey, we're talking about.
Who is here? Who is going to be on
and who I've had the liberty of having some run-ins with.
Yeah.
Where I had to remind him
contract after contract
of the legislations, you know, and show him, there are certain things that are out of your scope of power. And I guess some people don't like to be corrected. And when the list came back, unsurprisingly to me, but fascinating nonetheless, my name was off of that list.
But that's not surprising.
As I said, fascinating.
Given the ministry that actually went to it, because I know there are a lot of permanent secretaries. Some of them are really, really, really nice, who don't even get involved in these parties and politics. But in that particular ministry,
oh yeah,
that one,
oh yeah,
I'm of that view.
Oh yeah,
that's not a worker-friendly person at all. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that happened, and that is the problem. How we are not focusing on growth within the public service, because we tend to want to victimize people who will be able to produce.
But look at the area of training, so that you can be better at your job.
Yeah, they're not concerned about that. They're and that's.
It actually made me laugh.
Mr. Pompey
actually made me laugh.
Has been here for how long now? I mean, he has retired about 4 years ago.
About that.
And I don't understand that. Create employment. Move him home. Move somebody up.
Exactly. Contract after contract, doing what?
I have heard of that training opportunity really been offered. I remember in 2015
when the guys were
concerned about the whole it was some sort of situation, some illness, something. And they were the security and that sort of thing. And now this opportunity has been presented to you, and your name alone.
Yeah, my name alone
was removed from the list.
Fascinating.
You know,
not surprising. You know, simply fascinating that people can be so vindictive in their thinking. You know, and because, oh, I have the power, so I will squeeze you. You cannot squeeze me, because guess what? The sweet thing is, I have my training outside of prison. Right? The thing is, I keep on pushing.
Our anchor actually took that call. We were about to run out of here, but since the person's there, hello? Hello, good evening. Yes. Yes. You're a final caller. Yes.
Yes, it does. It does. Yes, we do. We do. That will be soon. That will be soon. It will be soon.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Your final comments.
Yes, just to wrap up, it will be beautiful to see the day that we can put aside our vindictiveness, you know, and thinking that we're too superior to stick to the legislation and rules of the country, you know, and do our jobs as professionals. You know, just put it aside. And don't let a person like me have to come to you as senior civil servant and have to tell you what the rule says. And then you have to take it personally. You know? But anyway, hopefully we'll be back to finish up on pensions and
in the meantime, just wish your fellow colleagues.
Yes, my fellow colleagues and the inmates who didn't hear me.
And when they go out there to represent St. Vincent and Grenadines, they really need to participate and engage presenters and these sort of things. Too often we're just going out there and we're sitting there making up the numbers and have nothing to say. And I would have heard that feedback coming out of the recent ILO workshop that was held here. They basically had to force people to make a contribution at that workshop, and it's such a shame because persons tend not to realize when you're sent to represent somewhere or institution or your workplace or wherever it is, they're not sent to make up the number or just watch on or be a spectator. If they want spectators, they'll say they want spectators.
Well, I'm not afraid to take part, you know.
You were selected, and the fact that you were sent to be there to make you're going to make a contribution and to take away something to bring back to apply and implement in whatever institution you're a part of. We need to get out of that sort of thing. But all the best to your colleagues. I really hope something would turn around, you know, with that whole selfish kind of move and taking your name off the list and all that. Because I know if you're given that opportunity, you would definitely bring back a whole lot.
Well, I always do my best.
To that,
I do my best, so.
To your workplace.
But, you know, good night to St. Vincent. Good night to
God
the diaspora.
fights the best battles.
Well, I usually tell people God is the one in my corner. So when they're fighting, they're not fighting me. They're fighting God.
Yes.
You know, so.
We believe in him strongly.
Very.
We got to run before we get kicked out of here.
You know.
Yeah. So.
I'm going to run my kickers out.
Look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.
Yes.
4:30, Heritage Square. Let's stand in support of the women folks of this country.
That's right. Women's rights are human rights, and I'm going to leave you with the final words of a wise man. He said, in the words of Lane Kirkland, we have come too far, struggled too long, sacrificed too much, and have too much left to do to allow that which we have achieved for the good of all to be swept away without a fight. And we have not forgotten how to fight. Finally, I urge all public servants throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines, whether you're working within the government service or the private sector, to stand up for your rights as citizens of our blessed country. It is only then you can inspire that you are not taken for granted and your rights not trampled upon. We as Vincentians have a responsibility to ourselves and to our country to guarantee we are receiving our rightful benefits which are protected by our country's constitution. The past 75 years has proven that we are a people who are always progressing, and our desire for a better standard of living is always our ultimate goal. It is through strength and unity, we can aspire what is truly ours as public servants of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. President Elroy Boucher, 2017 until present time. Until next PSU Speaks, slated for Thursday, 8th March. That day will be International Women's Day. Right here in NBC, 7:30. Another program. See you at the march tomorrow. Women's rights are human rights. I'm Javel Frank. Take care.
They're not going to invite